The word statutory means status. Now that status, how is that the status has? If somebody is doing any fraudulent act within SBI, you can sue SBI. Nobody can dictate terms, though the government interference will be there. They are free from undesirable government regulations and controls. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I'm Abhilash Chandra from the Department of Business Studies in Vidhyaashram PU College, the Temple of Excellence. In the last session, we got to know what exactly are the Indian economy and the chart, right? Now it is a continuity of the same one where we will understand again the chart, and then I'll tell you about more about a particular corporation called as a statutory corporation. So a quick recall, what is that we have done? We have done the Indian economy. I told you that our economy is the fifth largest economy in the GDP in terms of GDP. Now here what happens is it is divided into two. One is called the public sector. What is it? Public sector. Now we have public sector. What is the public sector meaning? I told you that public sector means 51% of the share is in the hand of the government. That is, the government is the real boss. 51%. Why is that the criteria is 51%? Because you are supposed to know the power of autonomy. The power of autonomy says that whoever has the maximum percentage of control, that person will be the person who will go with the management of the entire sector. So public sector is all about what? Government sector. Now in that we have departmental undertaking. What is this departmental undertaking? I have told you about this in the first session called departmental undertaking, and now we'll go with the second one called statutory corporation. What is it? Statutory corporation. And the next session which I'll tell you is all about the government companies. So these are the things which you are supposed to know in the public sector. Coming back here, we have the private sectors where you people have already seen and you have heard what exactly are the forms of business in the organization. All the things are the same thing. The first one is started by sole proprietorship, where one person will be there and he'll start a business, and whatever the loss or the gain will happen, it is all whatever he will share all alone. The next thing here is we have partnership. Now partnership is all about what? Two or more people, that is less than 10 or less than 20. Again, criteria are there, and they will start the business and they will know where exactly the business should go, and the management is all between the partners itself. Then we have joint Hindu family. What is it? Joint Hindu family. Hindu family in the sense we have HUF. See, all these things are the repetition of the session 1 which I'm just telling you as a quick recall. So Hindu undivided family will always go with within India. That means this is practiced within India. You cannot practice this elsewhere apart from India. The next one is cooperative society. We went with what? Cooperative society. What exactly the cooperative society? You all know. The last one here is MNC company. What is this called as? MNC company. And in an MNC company or the companies we have two. One is the public limited, another is the private limited. So we have public limited and private limited. In public, what happens is the minimum members are 7 and maximum members are unlimited. Now in private company, what happens is the minimum is 2 and maximum is 200. This is what happens in the private company. So these topics I'm gonna take else in some other sessions, but now we are concentrating on the public sector. Public sector means what? This is what the criteria is. 51% the shares or the control will be in the hands of government. In that we have 3: department undertaking, statutory corporation, and government companies. Don't get confused with all the 3 companies or the undertaking, where I'll tell you what exactly are the feature, then we'll go with the merits, and then the last one is the demerit. So whichever you feel there is a merit, you are supposed to just understand and recall which of the departmental or the statutory or the government companies has more advantage than elsewhere. So we'll go with the first one, that is statutory corporation. The word statutory means status. Now that status, how is that the status has been given to statutory corporation. Understand, statutory corporation is under public sector. Now public sector means what? The 51% share. How much? 51% shares is in the hands of what? Hands of the government. Now understand, 51% of the share is in the hands of the government. That means what will happen is the government need to take care of the public. When government need to take care of the public, what is that government is doing? Government should do favorism to the public. The government need to help the public at large. That is the reason statutory corporation is been incorporated. When I use the word incorporated, that means it is registered. It is registered. Now how is that it is registered? It is registered under a special act. What kind of a act? A special act. Special act. Now where this act has been enforced, the special act has been enforced by the parliament. You need to understand, statutory corporation is what? A form of public sector wherein it is a special act which is passed by the parliament for the welfare of the public and to get the public benefits, or to give the public the benefits from the government. That is called as public sectors, the role and the responsibility which is levied in the statutory corporation. So statutory corporations are public enterprises brought into existence by a special act. I told you about the special act. Okay, special act. Where exactly the special act was formed? In the parliament, in the sense the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha, this act will be passed. Now what happens in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha is the majority of the members need to approve. Now I'll tell you what happens is the members who are in Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha, their main intention is what? It is not to make money, it is to give services. But what exactly happens, you all know that. Now when they pass this kind of an act, the thing is the public are benefited more, and that is why this is called statutory corporation. Statutory corporation means a single status is given. That means the government or the civil service people will not be the employees, it is the other employees who will actually play the real role. The next one, this is a corporation body created by the legislature. When I say legislature, it is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha with defined powers. So they will actually give all the powers. That is, what you want, you can just do it. But what is the ultimate goal? Welfare of the public. That is the ultimate goal. Powers and functions, everything is given by whom? The legislature. It is clearly given that what is that you should do and what is that you should not do. The code of conduct, the rules and regulation, everything actually is framed and is financially independent. Please understand, this is the word. In the government companies, they are not financially independent. Statutory company, financially they are independent with a clear control. That means the entire control lies in the organization. Now sir, what are the example of statutory corporation? There is this SBI. Now SBI is one of the statutory corporation. Now whatever the rules and regulation they want to go with, SBI will only frame. That is, the board of directors will actually be the people who will play the important role. You have something called LIC, Life Insurance Corporation. Now see, even in SBI or LIC, there are no government people who are involved, right, directly, or the people who are civil servant, that is IAS or IPS. But in the other companies, what happens is there will be few people in the departmental undertaking. What we had was there are few people who are the government employees who used to be there. Now here understand, government employees in the sense they get salary by the government, but the rules and regulation is not by the government, it is by the SBI itself or it is by the LIC itself. But sir, what is the thing the government plays? The government will help them. What is that government does? It is not that government will trouble them. The government will help them by influencing in the tax rate or whatever it is. They'll actually boost these corporations because these corporations will benefit the public at large. That is what the statutory corporation is all about. So we'll see the features of statutory corporation. What are the features of statutory corporation? I have given you an example of statutory corporation. One was SBI, another was LIC. So understand these things properly. Now LIC is what? Life Insurance Corporation. Zindagi ke saath bhi, zindagi ke baad bhi. That is what the tagline is, right, for LIC. And SBI, here what happens is, if you understand the other private banks, you will get to know that SBI is actually doing the best within India as well as across India for the Indian people or people who are abroad. Now SBI, what happens is, they are giving loan or any kind of benefits to the public with a minimal charges if you compare with some other banks. The reason is what? It is actually given by whom? By the legislature. Now why is that this SBI was made? For the benefit of whom? For the benefit of the public. Benefit of whom? The public. And what is the government role in that? The government has 51% and more shares of this thing. That is, it is all the government which is moving it. And the next one is what? All the control or all the things, it is done by whom? It is, though the government is there, but it is what? Independent. Who is independent? SBI is independent to go with their own policy making or the procedures. And here what happens is, they are even financially, what is it? Financially, they are independent. Whenever they have any problem, they'll actually go to the government, because the government is the only parent for them. Next one here, statutory corporation. What is the feature? Statutory corporation was set up under an act. I told you the act is what? The Parliamentary Act. Act of Parliament, and are governed by the provision of the act. That is, what is the act? They are being protected. The second one is, this type of organization is wholly, in the sense completely owned by the state. In the sense, wherever that particular state is, see, state doesn't mean that it is Karnataka or it is Andhra Pradesh or Tamil Nadu. State in the sense, it is the central or the state government. So this type of organization is wholly owned by the state, means central government. The next one is a statutory corporation. A statutory corporation is a body corporated and can sue. Please understand, and to be sued. That means they can file case against anybody, as well as anybody can file case on them. Though it is government, it is not like dictatorship. Everywhere in India you have something called democracy, right? In the same way, you have the right to express, right? Freedom of expression, all those things are there. That means if somebody is doing any fraudulent act within SBI, you can sue SBI, as well as SBI also can sue the people who are not paying the loan amount, or the people who are defaulters. So these are the features of statutory. Now we have so many other features of statutory corporation. I want you people to take a paper, and then you are supposed to write it down, whatever the features. I'll be explaining it, or later you can actually visit the YouTube channel, and then you can play the same kind of videos where you will understand better. Now what I want you people is, you need to increase the listening capacity. That is what you are supposed to do. Next, this type of enterprise is usually independently financial. That is, it is all financed independently. It is not dependent upon anybody. They need to generate their own profit, and they are supposed to run the show, right? The government will not interfere, because that is what the powers and roles and responsibilities given to the statutory corporation. The next one is the employees. See, understand, the employees are not the government members. The employees are not from the IAS or IPS background. So who are the employees? The employees are being appointed by the SBI only. On the criteria of some tests will be there, qualification will be there, few criterias will be there. They'll have their own examinations and everything, and then they'll recruit the people, right? So here, the employees of these enterprises, now it is not just SBI, it is all the statutory corporations. This is what happens, are not government or civil servant. They are not government or they are not civil servant and are not governed by government rules and regulation. Whatever the government employees rules and regulation is there, it is not the same for these people. They are what? Independently. See, understand, independently they are financed, in the sense whatever they want to do it, they are doing it, because that is what the amount of freedom given to the statutory corporation for the benefit of the public at large. The next one is, a statutory corporation is not subject to the same, please understand, same accounting and audit program or procedure. That means what? Whatever used to happen in departmental undertaking, in the session 1 I have spoken about departmental undertaking, and even in the government companies, what happens is, the way the auditing program happens in those companies, it is not the same what happens in the statutory corporation, because of one feature, that is independently. Please understand, statutory, it's one status, nobody can dictate terms, though the government interference will be there, right? It is not that independently, in the sense the government will not come. It is that only when even that SBI or LIC is making a fraudulent thing, definitely government intervention will be there, right? Because the government is the baap ka baap. That is what it is. Here what happens is, statutory corporation, the auditing and the financial reports, whatever is being allotted to them and they are supposed to draft it, it is totally what? Independent. They are not supposed to go and follow the departmental undertaking process. The next one here is merits of statutory corporation. So what are the merits? Please understand, after seeing the feature, you are supposed to tell all those things that is the features of statutory corporation. The first feature of statutory corporation is, the thing is independence, in the sense they enjoy complete independence till the company or till the corporation is going really smooth and they are making profit. The government is happy, the government will collect the taxes, and then the public is also happy, because those public sector people will give the margin better than the private sector people. Now private sector people are the one who always want to make profit from the public, but here what happens is, you are making profit as well as you are rendering your services, you are helping them with your open hands. The next one here, what happens is, the function of the statutory corporation is all what? High degree of operational flexibility. They can go with their own way of flexibility, but here what happens is, they'll go with something called code of conduct. In the sense, everything they'll supposed to be flexible as well as rigidity is also there. It is not like flexible means whenever you want you can come, whenever you want you can go. It is not like that. Though what it is not so strict than departmental undertaking is what it is. The next one is, they are free from undesirable government regulations and control. See, the government cannot give all its weight to the statutory corporation and they cannot say that you should practice. I'll tell you why this statutory corporation was given all these criteria. Whenever the government is formed, what happens is, the government is maximum, what happens is, before the election, a government can stay for 5 years. Okay, right, the government can stay for 5 years. Now what happens, one of the government will come, they'll stay with 5 years. Now they can change the rules and regulation of statutory corporation. Now if the same government will not retain in the next 5 years, the other government will come. Now what will happen is, they'll change according to their nature. That's why what happened, when the Congress government was there, they are the one who actually made all this statutory corporation. Now what they did was, there was one open discussion wherein they got to know that they'll need to make rules and regulation, and they said, for a special provision act for the benefit of the government, what is it, the government as well as the public, that you cannot give your regulation and rules and regulation to the statutory corporation whenever the government changes. That is what the benefit you people actually have even now. The next one is, the government generally does not interfere. Generally, see here also it is not like completely, it is what? Generally they will not come. But I'll tell you what happens is, the government will definitely come, but generally lesser than the departmental undertaking and government companies. Statutory will enjoy the freeness. does not interfere in their financial matter, including their income and receipt. Whatever happens, you will not interfere. Only when there is something called a malpractice or fraudulent act or a scam, what happens is government will not interfere until then. After that, when they know what exactly it is, they'll definitely come, they'll intervene everything. Yes. The next one here is the merit of statutory. It's a continuity of it. The thing is, since they are autonomous, what is the meaning of autonomous? See, statutory itself means autonomous. So autonomous in the sense they can make their own rules and regulation, their own wages, salary, they can go with recruitment, they can go with operation, they can go with any kind of a thing. They can even go with their setting up their own code of conduct or the flexibility, whatever they want to go with. They can negotiate with anything and everything. But what happens is they need to go clean. That is what the real thing of statutory corporation. The reason here is the government has 51% and more shares than anybody else. That's why everything is in the control of government. But the government will not interfere because of a special act given in the parliament, that is the Rajya Sabha as well as the Lok Sabha. Here, since they are autonomous, what happens is organization, they frame their own policies. I told you about they can frame their own policies and procedures within the power assigned to them by the act. So whatever they do, it is all because of that special act. Okay, the next one is a statutory corporation is valuable instrument. What do you mean by valuable instrument? Understand this. A statutory corporation is a valuable instrument for economic development. Now understand this. We have something called economic development. See, India is a developing country, in the sense India is still developing. Now, to boost our economy, we are supposed to get more finance. So this statutory corporation, what happens is, the minute they are playing in the entire India, people are getting benefited by that. More people are using those benefits. What happens is the liquidity of the money will actually be there. That is, money will flow. The minute money is flowing, now what exactly happens is you are going more with the exchange. Now that is what will make the economy also to develop. If you have 50 rupees in your pocket and you are keeping it for 10 years, the 50 rupees will be 50 rupees, but the value of the money will come down. But if you start investing and if you start using or rotating the money, what happens is the value will definitely increase. That is what happens in the economic development. So these are the merits of statutory corporation. The next one is demerit of statutory corporation. Sir, you told about the special act. It is a special act. Government will not come. It will not interfere. They can do their own policy. They can do their own procedure. What is a demerit of statutory corporation? I'll tell you, students, take it from me. If there is a boon, there is a bane. Okay, that you need to actually go with the detail, right? The devil is in the detail is what always I tell my students. So this is what it is. You need to understand statutory corporation in detail. Don't you feel that SBI also doesn't have any demerits? Definitely they have. LIC doesn't have any demerits? Yes, they have. So what is the demerit of a statutory corporation? Please understand carefully. The first one here is all action are subjected to many rules and regulation. That means what? Too much of rules and regulation. See, government can draft a regulation. What happens is they are supposed to stick on, but the government is not interfering here. So who need to do it? The same autonomous body need to do it. When they start doing it, what happens is they don't have the professionalism of it. So what happens is they need to run with rules and regulation. For every bit and pieces, they have a rule as well as a regulation. Now nobody can actually alter the rules and regulation because it is given by the autonomous body and it is governed by the state. In the sense, the central government is only the people who will actually go with it. So the government and political interference has always been there in the major decisions. Please understand, the devil is in the detail. That means here I told you that government interference will not be there, but what exactly happens is for a major decision, the reason here is 51% of the share is in the hands of whom? Shares are in the hands of government, right? government. So what happens? See, the government also does not want to take a chance, or they don't want to lose. Okay, so what happens is, for all small things they will not interfere, but when it comes to the major decision or huge funding will happen in crores together, right? That is the time the government will come and they will sit. Now what happens is, there will be a problem in the functions of management, the way the people need to actually manage the business. They won't manage it. The reason is the government interference is there. The government interference, the minute it happens, what it is, see, you are doing your work regularly on a regular basis. Now somebody is there who's supervising you. What happens is, you cannot do your work properly. And what exactly happens when there is a major funding? Every transaction happens within the statutory corporation. So there is a problem in the working process. The third one is where they're dealing with public rampant corruption exists. See, when public is there, when people are there, what will happen in statutory corporation? See, when more people are there, definitely it leads to something called fraudulent act, or it can be a mistake, or it can be what, or desperate kind of a thing called scam. Now whenever there is huge money, government is there, public is there, people will intend to do something called scams. And what exactly happens is corruption. Now you can see so many other kind of a thing. Now, example I'll tell you, though it is not statutory corporation, but I'll just tell you, there are so many banks which lended money to so many business entrepreneurs. Now the business entrepreneurs couldn't pay loan to the bank. Now what happened? They are no more in India, they are abroad. Now why this happened? It's all because of the public as well as the government. See, the government would have also said yes, you can give, because the economic development will actually be more. The more you pay loan to the businessman, what happens? The businessman will create job opportunity. When job opportunity is created, unemployment will be reduced, is what the real thinking. Now the more they take the money and they can't pay the loan, now they'll run away. Like our Vijay Mallya is there, so many other people are there who just ran away. Now what is it? Where are they? All these are the demerits of statutory corporation. So all these things you are supposed to know, students. Till then, stay tuned and please learn the subject properly. I'll see you when I see you.